Now, Marylebone is just one of those lovely areas in London which is just behind Regent Street and also Oxford Street. But like all of those places, their beauty is when you start walking around them. So in this video, I want to bring you to one of my favourite places in London, but one of my favourite, almost really undiscovered places, and bring you the best bits from Marylebone. Now, if you look at Marylebone, you're looking at it and go Mary-Lee-Bone, which it's a lot of way that people pronounce it, but it's not. Welcome to Marylebone, and enjoy. So we're going to start over in Langham Place. Now if you think, where the heck is Langham Place? That's the bit of road that's at the top of Regent Street, which takes you to Marylebone Road and round by Park Crescent, a photo of which we had on the London Visited Community post not that long ago. So it's a beautiful area to be in. And by the way, if you're wondering what all those flags were hanging outside, it's because a number of embassies are based down here as well. So you may well have visited here previously if you had to come and visit your local embassy if you were visiting London. Anyway, some of them are down here, not all of them. And as you can see, you've got building works, etc. going on around here as well. So a lovely little road. Now, you have this view here of the BT Tower, or the Post Office Tower, or whatever you want to call it these days. Yes, I was told off the other day for calling it the wrong one. But anyway, down some of these side streets, you have these beautiful cobblestone mews, where you have some amazing houses, and some of these houses have been turned into offices very much since they were originally formed. But actually, if you just look down a lot of the London side roads, you have these, and some of them are well worth investigating. For me, Marylebone is just one of those underrated and underknown areas. I actually worked in Marylebone and down Marylebone High Street for quite a number of years, so I got to know the area really well. But also, lots of people miss it because they're so busy going to Oxford Street, and Marylebone is just behind Oxford Street, that people don't actually sort of venture down further past that. And as you'll see from the video we're going to show you today, we've got all different sections and all different areas that you can come and see. Plus, not only that, we're also going to share the history of this area as well, and just look at some of these mews houses as well. And that looks like a pub well worth visiting at some point in the future, doesn't it? So as I said, we're going to bring you different parts of Marylebone. Now, one of the parts you will have heard of is definitely this, Harley Street. Now, Harley Street was named after Edward Harley, who was the second Earl of Oxford and the Earl Mortimer, and since the 19th century it housed a large number of private specialists in medicine and surgery. So this is the place that people come for their private consultations. Judging by the number of posh cars going up and down this road, you can see its private hospitals abound. Now, what's really interesting is when Harley Street sort of gathered together in the 19th century, records first show that there were 20 doctors in 1860, 80 by 1900 and 200 by 1914. Today, there are more than 3,000 people employed in the Harley Street area in clinics, medical and paramedical practices and hospitals. I can also tell you all of these rooms and all of these floors are occupied by medical specialists left, right and centre, many of whom pop in for a day, maybe do a week in this road and then go back to maybe their NHS services. So it's quite incredible the people that pop in and out of these places, sort of using it as a, well, I'm going to have an office there for one day a week where I'll see my private patients. One thing I love doing is walking the streets of London and discovering places, but I don't think I've ever seen so many different mews areas as I have when walking along Marylebone. And I remember that from my time when I was working here, that I'd go for a walk around the block and discover a new mews place every so often. And by the way, if you're not sure what a mews is, I'll put a link to our video that we did on a mews over in Holland Park up in the top right hand corner, which explains it and also shows you the different types of ones that are around. Also, what I love is all the different mews have got their own styles, which just sort of come out with the decoration that they've got as well, and also the different types of colours that they have. You know, from this simple wood one to sort of the grey ones on the other side. Next, let's take you into the heart of Marylebone, and we're going to start here. Now, you may not have heard of this bookshop, but when we show you inside, you'll recognise it because it's one of those iconic pictures of London that everyone seems to have plastered out. Yeah, not of the parking notices suspended outside the front of it, but actually inside. Recognise that? Yeah, we're going to show you from up above in just one second, but this is an absolute must if you're coming into London and you fancy going to a bespoke bookshop. Duant Books, here on Marylebone High Street, is definitely one of those places to start. Now, Duant Books isn't massive, and there's a couple of them around London. I've bumped into different ones as I've been around London. I remember one over at Hampstead Heath, which is a particularly beautiful one as well. Not quite in the style of this, but one of the things they are specialists in is travel books. But they also, the other great thing about coming to this sort of place is you can just smell the books as you walk in, because it just does have that sort of book smell to it. But also, as you can see, you've got seats sitting around, so you can just come in, grab a book and have a little look, take it easy, and allow the time of day to go past. Now, if you love bookshops and you're coming to London and you think, oh, I wonder what the other ones are good and we'd recommend, I've put a link to our video for that up in the top right hand corner, showing you the best bookshops that we would recommend in London that you visit. Okay, so we're at Duant Books on Marylebone High Street. Let's get outside and walk up and down Marylebone High Street. Let's go and have a look. Now, what I love down here is it feels extremely villagey, and when I worked here, it still felt that then, back in the late 1980s. So you've got a complete mix of shops down here. You've got some of the big chains, such as there's a Waitrose. You'd expect nothing else in the middle of Marylebone High Street. Plus, also, you've got lots of little individual shops. So it's one of these places just off Oxford Street where, do you know what? Get off Oxford Street and come up and down Marylebone High Street, because not only have you got the independent shops, you've got lots of little cafes, you've got pubs like this on the corner here, which are very nice as well, and you really could come and spend a lovely afternoon. And if it's sunny like it is here, it just makes it even better. So whilst you're having a good look at Marylebone High Street, let me tell you all about Marylebone. Well, the parish took its name from its church dedicated to St Mary. The original church was built on the bank of a small stream or bourne called the Tyburn or the Tyburn. Now, this one is one of those streams that's underwater now, and the stream rose further north in Hampstead, so coming from Hampstead and eventually running along what became Marylebone Lane. So the original name of the parish was simply Marylebone, the stream of St Mary. The French le appeared in the 17th century under the influences of names like Marylebone, so you've got Marylebone. Now, interestingly, one of the beautiful areas around here is Marylebone Lane, and we're going to take you to that a little bit later in this video, so you can see where the river would run underneath the road where it is today. The ancient parish's church, St Marylebone Parish Church, has been rebuilt several times at various locations within the parish, of course getting its name from that. The earliest known church, dedicated to St John the Evangelist, was established by Barking Abbey, which held the manor of Tyburn until an unknown date, but probably sometime in the 12th century. The church originally located on the north side of Oxford Street, probably near the junction with Marylebone Lane, which once again we'll show you later when we get down there and towards Wigmore Street. Where the church was situated was subject to regular robbery, and in 1400 a new church was built, around 900 metres further north, and given the name of St Mary by the Bourne. The church was rebuilt in 1740, with a new building being erected a little further north in 1817. So here we're at the Garden of Rest, which is right at the top of Marylebone High Street. And the Garden of Rest is a small memorial garden which was adjacent to Marylebone Parish Church. Now, the old church was closed in 1926, but not demolished until 1949 following a World War II bomb damage. Its site is now that of the Garden of Rest, which was created in 1951, with the foundations of the church marked. You can also see here the gravestones. You can also see you've got some more around here as well. And you've also got some tombs which are on the floor. But it just goes to show you that these little green areas are all over the place and you never know when you're going to bump into them. And we featured previous ones which are sort of tucked away in the middle of the city of London, but in little side streets that no one even knows about. So this is another great example. And here also, you in the garden, you've got some of the history of this area as well. So as you can see, you've got lovely bench space, you've got places where you can sit and just watch the world go by, as well as lots of different murals on the floor, other tombstones. And how about this memorial, which is to Charles Wesley, which was put up in 1858, but had been buried here when the church was still standing in 1788. I really hope you're enjoying our video and showing you an area of London you may not know too well, but certainly one you definitely need to come to because it is just so understated here at Marylebone. And if you're enjoying it, do us a favour, give us the thumbs up, will you, for the video so we can spread this out to more people to love London. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you need to do so. We have videos going up at least 3 times a week, so subscribe to the channel and you'll never miss a notification if you click that bell button as well. From a nice restful garden, let's get back onto Marylebone High Street and those individual shops and just look at these beautiful buildings that you've got here with the shops below them. And if you look at the one on the corner just there, look up top, there you go, you've got a rooftop garden as well. And if you come down here on a lovely sunny day just like we are here, you really are in for a treat. So as I mentioned before, there's plenty of cafes and different places to eat. Plus, you've got a number of pubs as well. So we just showed you one there, which is the Old Rising Sun. This one is the Marylebone. But if you go down this side road here with the Marylebone on, you come to this park. Paddington Street Gardens were originally built in the 18th century as an additional burial ground for St Marylebone Parish Church. There seems to be a theme going on in London because I remember that for St Anne's Park, which is in the middle of Soho and various other places. But anyway, that was them. So the land here was donated by Edward Harley, who was the second Earl of Oxford, and East Mortimer, whose name cropped up a little bit earlier for Harley Street in 1730. Now, the burial grounds here were closed to burials in 1814. Here, we're looking at a mausoleum because most of the stuff was taken away, but this mausoleum was left here, and so were the tombstones around the edge of the garden, which you can still see today. Now, this mausoleum here was erected by the Honourable Richard Fitzpatrick, who was the younger son of Richard Fitzpatrick, the first Baron Gowran, in 1759 in memory of his wife. So for most people, they'll just come and take a walk through here, see the beautiful flowers and the roses and various other bushes that they've got set up during the summer. And it is a lovely place. You've got that little summer house there that you can go and sit in when it's nice and hot, or you can go and take refuge from the rain on a regular basis. You've got all of that there. But not many people would know that this was a formal burial ground all around these buildings here. And I must admit, I've sat in here many, many times when I used to work up here just to come and get away from life, not realising it was a burial ground at the time. And here's a bit of history for you. The Metropolitan Public Gardens Association arranged for the burial grounds to be opened as a public recreation ground in 1885, and the association's landscape gardener was Fanny Wilkinson, who was Britain's first female professional landscape gardener. And the good news is that the original lime trees and also the London plane trees still survive to this day. Now you're probably thinking, what's so special about Moxon Street? I've never heard of that. I've never seen that anywhere else like that. Well, the reason I'm actually bringing in Moxon Street here is just something I want you to remember if you come and when you come to London, which is get off the main high streets, get off the main high roads and come down some of the side streets. Now they're not all like Moxon Street, but you never know when you're going to find a gem like it. Look at this, you've got a florist shop here, you've got a cheese shop just over here on the other side of the road, you had a chocolate shop that we've just gone past, but you never see these things if you stay on the beaten track. So your best bet is come off the main roads, go down the side streets and go and investigate, and you too can find your own Moxon Street. By the way, Moxon Street here on Marylebone High Street, just off Marylebone High Street, is absolutely beautiful in its own right and deserves to be featured anyway. But hopefully you get the idea. Yep, get off the main road, come and have a look. Oh, and by the way, this chocolate shop looked absolutely amazing, but I didn't go anywhere near it because I could only guess at what the prices might be like. So as you can smell these beautiful flowers outside this florist on Moxon Street, let's get back onto Marylebone High Street and have a little bit look more as we go up and down the main road. And interestingly enough, as we swing round here, it's that building in white that I used to work in many years ago, which is quite incredible. Anyway, yeah, you can see all the different types of buildings that you've got down here and all the different types of shops as well. And this one just sitting on the corner here is quite beautiful, on the corner of New Cavendish Street, because it's got sort of turrets and all sorts of lookout posts. But then as you look back down Marylebone High Street, you see all the shops, but then above those shops you've got flats where people are living. So just think how much that would cost to be here in the centre of London, in this sort of village part just off Oxford Street and not far from Oxford Circus. Yes, you really are in the heart of London. Now the next place we're going to feature is once again just off Marylebone High Street. It's Manchester Square, and if you're thinking that name sounds familiar, oh, and that building looks familiar as well, that's because if you saw our video on the Wallace collection, this is where it's situated, here in Manchester Square. Manchester Square is another one of those garden squares, and we featured some of the individual ones like Bedford Square and Bloomsbury Square before in their own separate videos. But here in Manchester Square, the greenery in the middle is a private garden for those residents and those that are working here. A lot of these buildings are now offices. They were once upon a time sort of gentry homes, although some of them have still got flats. Can you imagine some of the prices around here? That'd be absolutely incredible. And also, once upon a time, here EMI were based. Now EMI were the record label which were very big in the 70s and the 80s, with bands featuring such as Pink Floyd, Queen and various others, and their headquarters were based here on Manchester Square as well. One of the things I love doing when I'm here in London and I found these garden squares that you can't go into is I just like to look over the fence and just see what quality of life they have when they come and tuck themselves away. And unfortunately, it's quite small. The garden looks very nice, but you're still going to hear all the traffic going around. But then again, you've got your own little piece of grass that you can go and sit on away from the hoi polloi and people like me filming. Lovely. Nice little retreat, eh? Now I'm going to put a link to our video of the Wallace collection here in Manchester Square up in the top right hand corner for you. And here, just off the bottom of Marylebone High Street and also Manchester Square, you've got High Street Methodist Church. Next, we're going to hit Marylebone Lane, and it's one of those beautiful areas again in central London, so close to Oxford Street that you need to get off at Oxford Street to come down, where you've got little restaurants, you've got cafes, but not only that, you've got very individualistic shops. And if you're thinking, what the heck is that shop there? We'll have a closer look in just a couple of seconds. So, Marylebone Lane, we mentioned earlier, because this is where the Tyburn River goes underneath, so it follows this area here. So if you're walking down here, it gives you an idea of where it was. Right, so this shop, you've got ribbons, braids, trimmings and flowers. Yes, they do all of that sort here. So if you want your own ribbon or your own rosette, look at the ones they've created for you. And they put these out every day. Can you imagine? If they didn't, they certainly wouldn't be there next morning. So this is all part of the Ivy, and that's the Ivy Cafe, that one that was in with the green hoardings there. Once again, a beautiful place to come and walk, but don't forget, cars do come up and down here, so do be careful. I wouldn't want you getting hit by a car. But then again, when you look down side streets like these mews here, again, you've got a beautiful area just to come and walk down and investigate down the cobbled stone streets. Now, to give you just an idea of where we are, if you carry on walking down this road another 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes, you're on Oxford Street. That's how close you are to everything. But again, you'd probably miss it if you didn't know it was here. So if you're coming up to London, again, come down Marylebone Lane. So you've got Marylebone Lane, Marylebone High Street, and in a second you're going to come out at Wigmore Street as well, which is that road that is at the very end here of Marylebone Lane. And that's worth a little walk down as well. And the good news is, if you watch this video, by the time you come down here, a lot of the shops and the restaurants and that will have changed, because the prices of rent down here are so expensive. So you're going to come and investigate for yourself and come and see your own things. And doesn't that look lovely and colourful? So that's Marylebone High Street and also Marylebone Lane. Next, we're going to go to Wigmore Hall and we're going to look outside. But if you're coming to London and you fancy picking up a concert, but something slightly different, something classical, then this could well be the place to come. It's Wigmore Hall. Now, once again, it's one of those things that locals know about it because they probably attend it on a regular basis. And those that, well, love their classical music may well know it that come to London quite regularly. But if you fancy coming and have a look, just Google Wigmore Hall and you will see their extensive programme of things that they have on here. And it's all tucked away in this beautiful building. No, I can't go in there because I haven't got a ticket. And would you let me in as a riffraff? But you can see there from the list of things just by the side, loads of things on. If you're a regular watcher of the channel, you'll know St Christopher's Place because we feature it every single year at Christmas for their amazing decorations that they put up for London. So we thought we'd feature it here because it's all part of the Marylebone area. Now, St Christopher Place runs literally off Oxford Street. It's got a secret entrance and actually there's a clock by it. If you miss the clock, you've actually missed the entrance. It's that narrow, but it runs all the way to the back of Welbeck Street, and you've got these independent shops down here, and it just feels like being away in your own separate alleyway. Plus, you've also got a choice of cafes and restaurants and other places to eat as well. Oh, by the way, apologies about the video quality. I realised I hadn't filmed up here for absolute years apart from at Christmas, so I need to get down here and get some 4K footage for you. Anyway, this is St Christopher Place, and as you can see, it opens up even wider, and as it opens up wider here, you then get all of the restaurants and the cafes and the bars that are open around here as well. And also, if you're coming here, Selfridges is literally around the corner, so if you're going to Selfridges, you want to make sure that you pop in. Oh yeah, that's Selfridges over there, that glass building at the end. The final place we want to bring you in our tour of Marylebone is Regents Park. Now, this takes up a significant area, and Regents Park is just one of those amazing places to come to, not just to get away from the hustle and bustle of central London, but also to come and see the wildlife and relax in the beautiful park area. So you've got areas like that lake that you've just seen there, which is right by the entrance, to these sort of pagoda areas where you can walk through and get a bit of shade in the middle of the heat of the sun. Yes, we can all dream about an amazing summer in London, but you really just can't get away from it in all aspects of the park. And sometimes, even when it's really, really busy in the middle of summer, you can still walk away and not see that many people. Well, you've got to find the right places, I guess. So getting here to Marylebone is really, really easy. There's a couple of tube lines in tube stations that you can use. Bond Street is one of them, and the other, which I would really use, is Baker Street, and that is really in the heart of everything, and it's got so many different train lines that actually come here. Of course, you can get buses here as well, and there are numerous numbered buses that come down here. And if you're coming to Marylebone, one of the places we haven't covered, which is right near Regents Park, is 221B Baker Street, which so many of you will know is the home to Sherlock Holmes, but that's for another video. Again, this is one of London's great royal parks, and they really are looked after. And just look at some of these roses, and the smell from the rose garden that they've got here in Regent's Park is absolutely incredible. And this is one of 2 Japanese gardens across London. Now, the other one's at Kyoto Park, which is over in Holland Park, but a lot of people don't know about this one here in the middle of Regent's Park. So again, with the water features and the water cascading down, is another great place to come, and also to bring the children as well, because of course, fascinated by water. Regent's Park is one of those places that you can come and explore for the day. Just make sure you've got a good pair of soft shoes on so you don't get hurt feet, because there really is lots and lots to walk around and discover fountains like this right in the middle of the park, hidden behind different hedgerows. And there you go, you've got the benches all around it, so you can come and sit and relax and watch the world go by as well. So, did you know about the area of Marylebone? Have you been to any of these places here at all before? And if you know about Marylebone, are there any places that you think we've missed out? Do let us know all of that in the comments down below. And thanks so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Like so many of these districts in London, there's so much to find out and explore. And another area and another district that we've covered is Soho. And I'll put a link to that video in the top right hand corner. So if you click on that, I'll see you in there.